There's a nurse that's going to reveal, how black women are in extreme danger having children in the U.S. Let's go ahead and roll that.
I'm well aware that what I'm about to say could get me in a lot of trouble, but I think it's important enough to say. I'm a labor and delivery nurse, and I treat my black patients differently. I've seen nurses, especially labor and delivery nurses, online saying things like, "I'm colorblind, I don't treat my patients any differently," meaning that they don't treat their black patients worse than they treat their white patients. And here's why it's not enough to be a colorblind nurse in 2023. Because I know that in my specialty, labor and delivery, black women are more likely than any other race to be harmed in pregnancy, childbirth, and beyond. The US is the worst place to have a baby if you're black in the developed world. Why is this not happening anywhere else? Systemic racism. If you don't believe me, just Google James Marion Sims. So not only are black women not believed about their pain, not believed about their symptoms, but also they may put off getting something checked out because they don't trust medical providers for good reason. So here's how I treat my black patients differently. Number one, I don't expect them to inherently trust me because I'm wearing scrubs and a badge, and I don't get offended if they don't. Many black women are coming in to have a baby already having experiences of not being listened to. And until I'm able to prove to them that I'm someone that can be trusted, they shouldn't trust me. More than my white patients, I emphasize the fact that I will always believe them. Yes, my white patients know also that I will believe them, but I really, really drive it home that I promise you that I'm going to believe everything that you say. I include every single person in the room who is supporting this patient in a conversation about preeclampsia, even if they don't have it. Because preeclampsia is one of the leading causes of maternal mortality in the United States. And preeclampsia can happen even after you've had your baby. I tell them about the symptoms, and I also tell the support people that if you hear her saying any of these things, make sure that she gets seen. And if when she gets seen, you don't feel like she's being listened to, go somewhere else. I let them know that I'm here to be their birth bouncer, and that I'm not going to let anyone do anything to them, only for them and their baby with their permission. I can neither confirm nor deny whether I have slapped a provider's hand away when the patient said no. I don't know anything about that. I have no hard data to back this up, but I have a hypothesis that black women are not being repositioned in labor as much as white women. So my patients know, and I will say this, that I'm going to turn you like a rotisserie chicken because movement is gold in labor, especially after you have an epidural. If when we have a baby, I don't like the amount of bleeding that I'm seeing, I am early talking to that provider about, hey, what do you think about maybe giving a little bit of Cytotec? What do you think about putting in a Jada? Because postpartum hemorrhage is the leading cause of maternal death. I will always use whatever privilege I have to make sure that my patients are heard. That's why it's so important to treat your black patients differently. And if you're a colorblind nurse, you're part of the problem.
Now, this is one of the main reasons why the lawmakers want to shut down TikTok. It has nothing to do with the Chinese influence and anything related to China. It's about messages like this coming out in a very quick fashion because, in TikTok, you'll watch this video, then you go, and because you sat there and watched that video, the algorithm say, okay, maybe you like that kind of content, so let me feed you somebody else's video talking about the same thing. And you can be watching videos like this in succession, getting information that they really don't want to be talked about. Let's call it what it is. Any white person that's trying to deliver some truth, the mainstream media is not going to reveal the truth what white people is speaking about. They never have been on that whatsoever. So platforms like TikTok, that's not going to suppress that kind of information, right? Whether they want to suppress it or not. Because I always say this, part of the reason is anything bad about the white supremacists is going to be probably allowed a little bit more on that platform than maybe others because of the little beef, but who cares about that? It has nothing to do with black folk. But I've seen more and more younger white people talking about their history and everything else more on TikTok than a YouTube or a Facebook or any other platform, Instagram, etc. Now, we know that the United States have a horrible, horrible track record of anti-black racism, white supremacy. Anti-black racism and white supremacy is in the foundation of America and the foundation of European American culture. It is. You take away anti-black racism and white supremacy and their gun, and they will cease to exist. Let's just call it what it is. They don't know how to live at least here and other parts of the world, because when I was in South Africa, they would tell me all about the anti-black racism that they had practiced there, and even how some of the nuances of the things that they do, the little comments, the little, you know what I'm saying? But trust me, over there, is minimized. There's only like 4 million of them versus 49 million black people. So it's definitely minimized compared to what we deal with here in this land. That's why I always say my brothers in South Africa understand us a lot more than any other country. We get it. It's not nothing you got to tell them too much. But I'm all about, okay, this is the issue. Let's discuss a solution, right? Because at this stage of the game, for me, we can keep talking about it and say, oh, it's horrible. Oh, these white supremacists. Listen, they're going to be who they are. One thing I would always tell y'all, they will never change. Just like you don't expect a dog all of a sudden just to stop barking when the dog's been barking ever since they've been in the earth. It's the same thing with the white supremacists. Understand? So with that being said, how do we protect black women? How do we prevent our children from being harmed as well? I'm going to give 3 different solutions. Solution for people that, hey, they just got to deal, you know, they got to find a solution here, and people that have the ability to travel and have a solution. So number 1, for people here who just don't really have that option, you're going to have to make an option, at least here. You're going to have to find you a black OBGYN. It has been proven that when black people have black doctors, our health care is better. We live a lot longer. They listen to our concerns. They treat us like we're supposed to be treated. So we need to have a black doctor that understands us completely. Understand? Especially ones that we could find one in our community, our neighborhood, etc. Even better. Right? For example, my son went to a doctor one time. It was a sister. And, you know, she was discussing, you know, medical with him. And then I told him, I said, no, really tell him, you know, what you need to tell him. She said, look, if you don't do this and then the third, this going to happen. See, only we can talk to our people like that, where they get it like that. A white doctor can't do it. An Asian doctor, a Hispanic doctor. Now, if they came from maybe one of our neighborhoods, that'd be a little different. But that's individualistic, that it would not be the norm. We could talk to our people in certain ways. We know what we eat. We know our nuances, our culture. So doctors can address our culture, because every group of people have a culture and have a way of being. Like Hispanic doctors understand Hispanic people, so they know how to talk to them. Asian people, you know, the different Asian groups, they understand their people, so they can address that in the area of healthcare, right? White people understand their people, right? They can address that in the area of healthcare. So for black people, it's very, very important. So find you a black OBGYN. Find you a black primary care doctor here in the United States. If you have to travel for this doctor, if you have to go to another state for this doctor, then you got to do what you got to do, especially when it comes to your baby. If you got to go move somewhere for that time period where your wife is pregnant, brother, then you're going to have to do what you got to do. Because it's better have your wife protected and your child protected than dealing with them folks. Now, for black people that have a little bit more options, the black people that maybe could even work from home, if you say, you know what, that nurse said nowhere in the United States is safe for our babies, so I want to protect my babies. The closest place that you can go that I read about the healthcare being good was Barbados, the Cayman Islands. They were saying the Bahamas was good enough, and also Turks and Caicos as well, if you want to get outside the U.S. but still not be too far from the U.S. Also, now if you say, you know what, I'm going to the motherland, have my baby, I'm not even going to the Caribbean, then South Africa is ranked one of the best places for healthcare in the continent. And you know, in South Africa, you can go even without a visa. You can be there for 3 months without a visa. So if you have that option, a work from home option, you getting your US dollars, you are free to travel. And listen, if you can get a work from home job, ladies and gentlemen, get one, because that's how you can travel. Some people think that people that travel all the time are like rich. No, that's farthest from the truth. People that travel is not rich like that. They just understand that it's more inexpensive to live outside of America than in it. And if black women are facing this crisis, then either they better go to a black doctor here and make an effort to go to a black doctor, even if you have to fly to one or drive to one, or get on a plane and get at least to the Caribbean. If not the Caribbean, get to South Africa and have your baby there, if you're worrying about the health care. Okay.
Because I know that in my specialty, labor and delivery, black women are more likely than any other race to be harmed in pregnancy, childbirth, and beyond. The US is the worst place to have a baby if you're black in the developed world. Why is this not happening anywhere else? Systemic racism. If you don't believe me, just Google James Marion Sims. So not only are black women not believed about their pain, not believed about their symptoms, but also they may put off getting something checked out because they don't trust medical providers for good reason.
Now, this is very, very important. This is very extremely important. Once again, I know the majority is not going to do the flying out the country thing. I get it, but I want to address all people because we have all people in our community who can do multiple things. I don't want to ever try to pigeonhole my people to just one thing because they're not going to do that. But if you are one that say you just basically got to deal with things in America, then you need to find a black doctor here. And it's on you to do it. Now, you can say, why should I have to travel? It's not about why you should have to do anything. That woman telling you the deal, telling you how dangerous it is as a black woman to have a child. She's telling you, don't be hard-headed. Listen what I'm telling you. Find you a black doctor in America. But let me know what y'all think with what she's saying. And like I said, listen, I appreciate everything she's saying. And you have some European Americans, individuals, who are decent people as individuals. And I always say, if they're good people as individuals, I will support them as individuals. Now, groups, I'll support no groups. Everything with me is always on an individual basis.